You ever have that feeling you're in a relationship with someone and they're right there physically? They do all the right things, but the second you need them emotionally, it's like they just disappear. It is so confusing and honestly so painful. Today, we're going to get into exactly why that happens.
And this right here just nails it, doesn't it? Their actions are saying, I love you, I care about you, but that emotional wall you hit feels like something else entirely. So let's start digging into what's really going on behind that wall. All right, so let's zoom in on this contradiction. It's that strange and frustrating gap between what you see them do for you and what you actually feel from them in those crucial moments. I mean, on the surface, everything checks out, right? They're responsible, maybe they're a great provider, they're consistent, they're reliable. To the outside world, and even to you a lot of the time, they really do seem like the ideal, stable partner. They show up, but then it happens. The moment real, raw emotion enters the room, a switch just flips. They might still be sitting right next to you, but it feels like they've left the building. That connection you had, poof, it just evaporates. And what's so wild is that it seems like your feelings are the trigger. Your sadness, your anxiety, your vulnerability. You can literally see them tense up. They get quiet or maybe even impatient. And after a while, you can't help but wonder, wait, are my emotions the problem here? And here is the absolute game changer in understanding this. While it feels intensely personal, it feels like you are being rejected, what's actually happening is an automatic, pre-programmed reaction that was wired into them long before they ever even met you. This isn't about you. So that brings us right to the heart of this whole dynamic. This is the key that unlocks everything we've been talking about. I want you to really let this idea sink in. For some people, their nervous system literally processes emotional intimacy, the very thing you're looking for, as a threat. Not as safety, not as connection, but as a genuine danger that their body needs to brace for. So what does this actually mean? Well, for starters, this shutdown isn't a conscious choice they're making. It's a lightning-fast nervous system response that happens way faster than conscious thought. It's not that they don't care, it's that their body has gone into full-on self-protection mode. So the big question is, where does a reaction like this even come from? How does someone get wired this way? Well, to figure that out, we have to go back in time to the place where their emotional rulebook was written in the first place. Their childhood. You can see how this path unfolds. First, a kid learns that expressing big feelings isn't welcome. It's treated like a problem. So, what do? They learn that being quiet equals being safe. Over time, they push those feelings down so often that they actually become disconnected from them. And to survive, they learn to rely on what works: logic, action, performance. And emotions just become this messy, inconvenient noise in the background. And here's the real irony. That survival skill they learned as a kid, as an adult, it actually looks like a really positive trait. It looks like stability, reliability, and self-control. They're the person who can handle a crisis without freaking out, precisely because they learned to shut down emotion and just get things done. Okay, so we've got the why down. Now let's get practical and talk about the how. How does this deep-seated fear actually show up in a day-to-day relationship? Well, it usually falls into two classic patterns. We're going to break down these two really common ways this protective instinct plays out. And just being able to recognize them can be a huge first step. All right, the first pattern is all about action. When they're faced with your emotions, they immediately default to what feels safe and controllable, and that is fixing the problem. And this is where that fundamental mismatch happens. You're coming to them for comfort, right? You just want someone to listen and be present with you. But to them, just sitting and feelings feels like danger. Doing something, offering a solution, creating a plan, that gives them a sense of control when, on the inside, they're actually starting to panic. Now, this second pattern, this one is often way more painful to be on the receiving end of. This is when your feelings aren't just sort of sidestepped, they're actively misinterpreted as a personal attack. Here's a perfect, really simple example of how this works. You say something about your own experience, like, "Ugh, I'm so tired." But because their childhood wiring taught them that someone else's bad feelings meant they did something wrong, they don't just hear your words, they hear an accusation. "You're not doing enough to help me. You have failed me." And this gets to the absolute heart of that second pattern.
their defensiveness, their anger, it's not coming from a logical adult place. It is a full-blown emotional regression. In that moment, they are that little kid again, terrified of being told they're bad or wrong just because someone else is upset. So, knowing all of this, the childhood roots, the brain's reaction, these adult patterns, how can we possibly start to change our own perspective when that wall goes up?
Here's the new perspective. That shutdown is not a lack of love. It is an overwhelming amount of fear. That distance you feel, it isn't indifference. It is a learned survival mechanism kicking into high gear. They are trying to protect themselves. But, and this is a really important but, understanding the reaction is not the same thing as excusing the emotional neglect it causes. Awareness explains it. It doesn't make it okay.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to really sit with. When you think about this dynamic, are you the one standing on the outside, feeling shut out by this emotional wall? Or, just maybe, are you the one on the inside, desperately trying to keep that wall from collapsing? Something to think about.